From London to Warsaw, Istanbul to Vienna, or even Lisbon to Rome, if you're traveling in Europe, trains offer an accessible, comfortable, and scenic way to explore the continent. Every year, over 8 billion people travel by train in Europe. In comparison, the US rail system serves just over 32 million riders annually. So, how did Europe develop such an extensive rail network? Where can you travel today as a passenger? What are some problems to look out for? And what does the future of European rail look like? Let's take a closer look. Early steam locomotives transformed transportation and revolutionized European economies. For this story, we need to travel to South Wales, where the first steam-powered train was developed. Originally built to transport coal, a key resource of the Industrial Revolution, these early rail systems dramatically increased the speed and efficiency of moving goods and people, playing a vital role in fueling England's industrial expansion. In 1830, the first intercity railway line, the Manchester to Liverpool, opened, marking a major milestone in rail history. The line even has its own infamous story. During one of its early journeys, in fact the first, the Prime Minister, the Duke of Wellington, was aboard a special train parallel to the main fleet. About 13 miles into the journey, the first passenger rail crash happened. One of the 7 main trains derailed and was hit by another. There was no fatalities and they were able to get the trains back on the tracks and moving again. However, at a scheduled stop for water, dignitaries got out of the main fleet to greet the Prime Minister. Among them was William Huskisson, a former Secretary of State for War in the Colonies, who attempted to reconcile with the Prime Minister after a political falling out. As Huskisson stepped onto the train tracks, an oncoming locomotive, the Rocket, struck him, resulting in the first famous railway fatality in history. Following England's lead, railway expansion boomed across Europe throughout the 19th century. By 1840, France had established privately chartered rail companies, successfully moving goods like coal, wine, and cheese. In Germany, economist Friedrich List promoted railway expansion with 4 main benefits. 1. Strengthening national defense. 2. Enhancing the cultural and industrial knowledge of the population. 3. Stabilizing communities by ensuring consistent availability of goods. And 4. Uniting the country by improving travel efficiency. Though Germany initially relied on British engineering and materials, by 1850 it had become self-sufficient in railway development. However, by the early 20th century, the rapid pace of expansion slowed. Rail travel remained a critical mode of transportation, but it wasn't until after World War II that new advancements such as electrification and high-speed rail reignited the growth. The devastation of World War II had caused disarray in the European rail infrastructure. Railways were targeted to help fuel the economic reconstruction of the Marshall Plan in Western Europe. In Eastern Europe and Eastern Bloc countries, travel was heavily regulated, often requiring permits from authorities to travel domestically and internationally. Most rail infrastructure in the former Eastern Bloc countries was primarily focused on freight transport rather than passenger. However, in Poland, a major new line connecting Krakow and Warsaw was built during this post-war era. After the fall of the Soviet Union and the transition out of communism, many former Eastern Bloc and Soviet countries reoriented their economies to Western Europe rather than Russia. This new freedom of economic policy and human rights, such as the freedom of movement, led to the connection and development of rail infrastructure in this region. EU policies, such as the Schengen Agreement, which allows passport-free travel in participating countries, as well as rail modernization programs, fueled this effort to link Europe together with rail. The main program is the Trans-European Transport Network, or 10-T, which sets out to link Europe with a network of roads, railways, inland water routes, and airports. The 10T created 9 corridors for planned railway initiatives. The 9 transport corridors are the Atlantic Corridor, the Baltic Sea to Adriatic Sea Corridor, the Mediterranean Corridor, the North Sea Baltic Corridor, the Baltic Sea Black Sea Aegean Sea Corridor, the Western Balkans Eastern Mediterranean Corridor, the North Sea Rhine Mediterranean Corridor, the Rhine Danube Corridor, and the Scandinavian Mediterranean Corridor. In the second half of the 20th century, high-speed rail infrastructure saw a major boom. Europe's first high-speed rail line connecting Rome and Florence was introduced during this time. Soon after, France, Germany, and Spain rapidly expanded their own high-speed rail networks. Today, Europe has the second largest high-speed rail system in the world, just behind China. Spain is the leader within the EU, with nearly 2,500 miles of high-speed rail. So where can you go as a traveler in Europe? Well, let's take a look at an example. Let's say you're coming from the Americas and you fly into London Heathrow and want to travel to Amsterdam by train. Your journey might look like this. Take the train from Heathrow to Paddington Station and transfer to the St. Pancras International. Or the Eurostar, which takes you under the English Channel and directly to Amsterdam Central in just about 4 hours. A ticket for this route, if booked in advance, costs under €100. The last-minute fares can be higher. Or, if you want to visit Paris, the Eurostar can take you to the Gare du Nord, Europe's busiest train station, in just over 2 hours. Ticket prices start at under €50, but can climb to €150 or more for last-minute travel. From Paris, your options are vast. You can head north to Denmark and the rest of Scandinavia, travel east to Germany and Switzerland, continue south into Italy, or explore the Iberian Peninsula. If you want to start on the opposite side of Europe, major hubs like Istanbul connect travelers to destinations such as Bulgaria and beyond. A key player in European train travel is Eurail. Launched in 1959, Eurail provides access to over 30,000 destinations in 33 countries via a rail network covering 250,000 kilometers. The Eurail Pass is for non-European residents, while the Interrail Pass is for European residents. On certain travel days, the Global Pass allows unlimited travel across 33 countries, while the One Country Pass provides unlimited travel with a single nation. While Eurail can be more expensive than purchasing individual tickets, its convenience, flexibility, and unlimited travel options make it an attractive choice for backpackers and long-term travelers. However, note that reservations and additional fees may apply for high-speed trains, night trains, and some busy routes. While European rail offers fast, efficient, and scenic travel, it's not without its challenges. Some of the key issues facing rail travel today include high prices on some routes. While budget airlines offer cheap flights between major cities, train tickets, especially on high-speed routes, can be more expensive if booked last minute. Travelers on a budget often find that flights between the cities like Paris and Barcelona, or London and Berlin, can be cheaper and more efficient than the train tickets. Booking train tickets in advance can save significant money, and railway passes like the Eurail or Interrail can provide discounts for frequent travelers. Cross-border incompatibilities. Despite efforts to integrate European rail networks, different countries still operate on different rail gauges, signaling systems, and ticketing platforms. This can lead to delays, fewer direct routes, and difficulty booking cross-border journeys. The Baltic countries of Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania still use the Russian gauge, while much of Europe uses standard gauge, creating compatibility issues that projects like Rail Baltica aim to solve. Overcrowding on popular routes. With increasing demand, some of Europe's busiest routes experience overcrowding, especially during the peak seasons. This is particularly true for routes like the Eurostar, the TGV, and German ICE routes. If traveling in peak season, reserve seats in advance, especially for high-speed and intercity trains. Rail strikes and service disruptions. Rail workers across Europe frequently go on strike due to disputes over wages, pensions, and working conditions. Strikes can halt services for days, affecting both local commuters and tourists. In recent years, France, Germany, and the UK have seen multiple rail strikes, causing widespread delays and cancellations. Check national rail operator websites for strike warnings before booking travel, and consider flexible travel dates. Infrastructure delays and underfunding. While many countries are investing in new high-speed rail lines, some railway projects face delays due to the funding issues or political disagreements. This is especially true in Eastern Europe, where infrastructure is less developed than in the West. The planned Lisbon-Madrid high-speed rail line has faced multiple delays and funding issues, leaving no direct train route between the capitals. Despite these challenges, European rail remains one of the most efficient and sustainable ways to travel. By planning ahead, booking early, and staying informed, travelers can avoid many of these common pitfalls and make the most of Europe's vast rail network. What's next for European train travel? There's a strong push to expand and enhance high-speed rail networks. The European Union aims to double passenger rail travel by 2030 and triple it by 2050. In line with this, the Eurostar has set a goal of reaching 30 million annual passengers by 2030, a ridership number comparable to the entire US rail system currently. High-speed rail is rapidly expanding, particularly in Spain, France, and Italy, with additional projects in Czechia, Hungary, Portugal, and Germany. Upcoming notable routes include Hungary to Belgrade, coming out of Budapest, 5 new lines out of Prague, Lisbon to Porto, and Paris to Berlin. Another highly anticipated route will connect Tallinn and Warsaw with high-speed rail. Rail Baltica, as it is called, is expected to add nearly 16.2 billion euros in economic benefits. There have been plans to also extend this into Helsinki via tunnel, but those plans are currently put on hold. Spain alone saw nearly 24 million annual passengers on its high-speed rail networks, emphasizing the growing demand. Meanwhile, electrification of European railways has increased from 53.8% in 2013 to 57.4% in 2023. The total high-speed rail network expanded from 2,744 kilometers to 8,556 kilometers within the same period. Outside of the EU, Turkey has significantly advanced its high-speed rail system, doubling its capacity in the last decade. The Istanbul-Ankara high-speed line, 358 miles long, reduces travel time to just 3.5 hours with 12 daily trips. Additionally, Turkey and Bulgaria are exploring a new high-speed connection between Sofia and Istanbul, which could cut down the current 12-hour overnight journey. Beyond passenger travel, railway expansions also focus on reducing railway crossings, increasing multi-track lines, and leading to more efficient and safer travel. I hope this video has inspired you to explore Europe by train and sparked an excitement for future rail travel. If you're planning a trip, be sure to research routes, passes, and reservation requirements in advance. I've included some of my sources and useful resources for train travel in Europe below. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. If you have suggestions for future topics, please let me know. Thanks for watching and happy travels.